journal of 2 visits made to some nations of Indians on the west side of the river, Ohio, by the Reverend David Jones, continued. Thursday 31st, last day of 1772, set out for Great Guyandotte. The River Ohio in general bore a southwest course and a little more westerly, but it is very crooked in many places. This day being fair and pleasant, we travelled a great distance, so that the day following about 11 o'clock, we passed the mouth of Great Guyandotte, being January 1st, 1773. This creek is very large, and it is said that it originates from Clinch Mountain, which separates it from Holston River, and according to information, is situated west of the southern parts of Virginia. If falls do not prevent, from the appearance of this creek, it may be navigable for a great distance for canoes and such small craft. Here, the land appears charming and level, well supplied with fine black oak timber, and was informed that it abounds with extraordinary springs, especially about the branches that make this creek. In this part of the country, even in the winter season, pasturage is so good that creatures are well supplied without any assistance. Here are a great abundance of buffaloes, which are a species of cattle, as some suppose, left here by former inhabitants. To such as travel this country, it is most evident that it has formerly been inhabited by some people who had the use of iron. I have been informed by sundry persons that up some of these creeks a pair of millstones are to be seen, where it is probable formerly a mill stood. Below this creek's mouth, the bank of Ohio seems near 100 feet higher than the surface of the water in common, so that no place that we passed promised superior advantages for a town, as it will always be safe from floods of waters, and easy for the inhabitants of the colony to transport their produce down the stream. The mouth of this creek, according to Mr. Hutchins's calculation, is 308 miles below Fort Pitt, but some think it considerably further, and from Mr. Hooper's actual survey, it is probable it may be so. About 13 miles below, past a stream near as large as this, called Great Sandy Creek. According to information, on the heads of these creeks is the most beautiful and fertile country to be settled, that is anywhere in this new colony. Would therefore recommend it to such as are disposed to settle in this new world. Here, the inhabitants will not be perpetual slaves to support their creatures, for the winters are mild and short, being near the end of latitude 38 or the beginning of 39. Contiguous to this, if none in it, are the famous salt springs, which are a peculiar favour of God in this land, so distant from the sea. Throughout this country in various places, salt springs are to be seen, but more abundantly in the southern parts, the water of which, if boiled, produces very penetrating salt, some of which I saw myself. In this country also are to be seen alum mines, as the people call them, but some of them, from a chemical experiment, appear to be rather a mixture of vitriol with alum. This country has its excellences as well as some seeming disadvantages, among which the great abundance of stone coal may be reckoned as one advantage, especially in process of time. The blacksmiths about Redston use none other in their shops, and find it answers their purpose well. Nor is it defective for materials to erect the best of buildings, for there is no scarcity of limestone, and excellent quarries of freestone. At Great Sandy Creek, the River Ohio makes a turn, and runs for many miles near due north, and from thence to the mouth of Scioto. Its course may be said to be southwest and a little more westerly. Saturday, January 2nd, year is 1773. It rained so that we were obliged to remain in camp, and though we stretched our blankets, the rain was so excessive that we lay soaking wet in our beds through great part of the night. No night seemed more uncomfortable than this, yet was not sensible of any damage received. January 3rd, it rained most part of the day, so that part of us remained in camp. But others, being worse disposed, went out to hunt, though we were not in real want of provisions. It was so ordered that they killed nothing. Upon their return, reminded them of their impiety, and that Providence prevented success. All that was said seemed only like darting straws against the wind, for sense of duty was lost. Monday 4th, set out for the river Scioto, and about the middle of the day came to the mouth of it. The Shawnee Indians formerly lived near the mouth of this river, but finding that their enemies had too easy access, they moved their habitation up the stream. The mouth of Scioto may be more than 200 yards wide, and was then very deep, occasioned by the late rains. It is said that the mouth of this river terminates the colony expected to take place. For some miles before we arrived to this river, mountains seemingly impassable appeared emanating in several tops, covered with pine shrubs southeast of Ohio. These mountains approach nigher the river Ohio, till they terminate at the edge of the stream, almost opposite to the mouth of Scioto. It is said that there is a way to pass over rather below Scioto, and after travelling about 15 miles, you will come to a famous level land covered with good pasturage, and abounding with fine springs of water, inviting inhabitants to partake of the rich productions of Providence. This must be connected with, or part of the land described above, on the branches of Great Sandy Creek and Goyandotta. The name which the Shawnees give Scioto has slipped my memory, but it signified Hairy River. The Indians tell us that when they came first to live here, deers were so plenty that in the vernal season, when they came to drink, the stream would be thick of hares, hence they gave it the name. Encamped on the east side of this river, at a place called Red Bank, and indeed this is the first place in which we could encamp with safety. For near the mouth in floods the waters of this river and Ohio unite, covering all the low land. The two rivers for a mile or better running near the same course and not far apart. According to Mr. Hutchins, the mouth of this river is situated in latitude 38 and 22 minutes, and as Ohio runs 366 miles below Fort Pitt. Traders call it 400 miles, and from the remarks by Mr. Hooper, it may be supposed to be near the matter. Was informed that this river has its sources towards Lake Erie, and that there is but a very small land passage between this river and the streams that empty into that lake. This will afford a communication with this Western world not much thought of, for it is said goods from New York can be afforded much cheaper at Fort Detroit than from Philadelphia by land carriage. Having only two carrying places, one at Fort Stanwix and the other at Niagara Falls. This river is very crooked, but not very rapid, so that men in canoes can stem the current to the head. Tuesday 5th, the water being deep, the men rowed the canoe about 6 or 7 miles and were obliged to encamp. I went myself on land and killed some turkeys for provisions, Wednesday 6th moved slowly, spent some time in getting poles for the canoe. The wood used is called pawpaw. It is very light and bears a kind of fruit in shape resembling a cucumber, but too luscious for some stomachs. This night our lodging was bad, occasioned by rain. Thursday 7th, as the canoe was poled up the stream, for the advantage of killing game, chose to walk on land, but mistaking the way that the river turned, lost myself on the largest walnut bottom that ever I met with before. After some time, found myself mistaken. What added to my surprise, night approached and the sun did not shine. After ruminating on my case and recollecting the courses I came, concluded that I knew which way the west lay. Therefore set off and ran over several bad places, till at last the top of a very high hill appeared. Exhilarated with the view, with not a little speed to this my course was bent, but before it was ascended far, had the pleasing prospect of the river, yet was at a loss to determine whether the canoe was below or above me. Went first up the stream, sometimes whistling, and at other times hollowing, till discouraged. Then returned down the stream for some miles, till I was satisfied that they were above me, thence returning up again, expecting little else than to be left in this solitary wilderness, with no provisions and little ammunition to kill any. But while musing thus, heard them fire at their camp for me. Returned the report, firing as I went, but as the wind blew towards me, they heard me not, though happily their guns were always heard. With as much speed as the darkness of the night would permit, being directed by their continual firing, at last arrived safe at the camp, and was received joyfully. For their distress seemed greater than mine, lest some evil had befallen me, and they should bear the blame. This day passed a large creek on the west side of Scioto, and several small ones on the east side,